AITA for sending my ex a bill for emotional damage after he cheated. Hey Reddit, I'm to 6F, and I've found myself in a situation that's left me wondering if I'm the **** hole. So, let me take you back to where it all began. I was with my boyfriend Tom 28 meters for almost 4 years. We started dating during our freshman year of college, and for the longest time, I thought we were building something beautiful together. We had our ups and downs, like any couple, but I believed we were on the right path. Little did I know, things were about to take a dark turn that would change everything. About 6 months ago, I started to notice that Tom was acting differently. It was subtle at first, little changes in his behavior that I chalked up to the stress of work and life in general. He was more distant and often glued to his phone, which made me feel uneasy. I'd try to engage him in conversation, but he'd brush me off with vague responses, claiming he was just busy. I had a gut feeling something was off, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. The last thing I wanted was to accuse him without evidence, but the more I thought about it, the more I couldn't shake that feeling. Then, everything came to a head when I found a strange number on Tom's phone one night. I'd forgotten to bring my charger, so I borrowed his while he was in the shower. When I glanced at his screen, I noticed texts from someone named Emily. My heart sank as I opened the messages. They were flirty and intimate, and my stomach twisted into knots. I was absolutely devastated. It felt like I had been punched in the gut. I had to confront him, but I didn't want to come across as irrational, so I decided to gather more evidence before making any accusations. I turned to my best friend, Lisa to 7F, who had been with me through thick and thin. I shared my concerns and showed her the messages I had found. She was supportive and encouraged me to dig deeper, reminding me that I deserved to know the truth. So, I took matters into my own hands and started doing some light snooping. I checked his social media and even reached out to mutual friends to see if they had noticed anything odd. To my horror, a few of them mentioned that they had seen Tom out with Emily several times, and that was enough for me to know I had to confront him. When I finally confronted Tom, I was shaking with anger and hurt. I chose a quiet moment, and I couldn't hold back my emotions. I demanded to know who Emily was and if he was cheating on me. Instead of the remorseful apology I had hoped for, Tom reacted defensively. He claimed that I was overreacting and accused me of being too clingy. I felt like I was losing my mind. How could he twist my pain into something I was doing wrong? His denial was infuriating and added insult to injury. That night, we had the most explosive argument of our relationship. He insisted that I was the one who pushed him into someone else's arms by being demanding and needy. My heart ached, not just because of the betrayal, but because I had spent so long supporting him through his struggles. I was there when he was laid off and during his job search. I had helped him through anxiety, and now he was trying to make me feel guilty for wanting his love and attention. After hours of arguing, I finally threw in the towel. I told him I couldn't be in a relationship with someone who disrespected me like this and walked out. In the weeks that followed, I was a complete wreck. The breakup shattered me. I spent countless nights crying, wondering how someone I loved could betray me in such a painful way. I lost my appetite, and my work started to suffer. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of emotions. The loneliness and betrayal were overwhelming, and I found myself replaying every moment we had together, looking for signs that I had missed. It was like a never-ending cycle of heartbreak, and I didn't know how to escape it. As time went on, I started to feel anger rising within me. I was angry at Tom for cheating, angry at myself for not seeing the signs, and angry that I had to go through this at all. I decided I needed to reclaim my power somehow. It was then that a wild idea struck me. What if I sent him a bill for emotional damages? At first, I laughed it off, thinking it was a ridiculous notion, but the more I thought about it, the more it felt like the perfect way to express my anger. With Lisa's encouragement, I sat down and drafted a bill that detailed my emotional suffering. I calculated everything: the hours I spent crying, the therapy sessions I had started attending, and even the loss of income from days I took off work due to emotional distress. It became clear to me that this wasn't just about revenge. It was about holding Tom accountable for the pain he caused. I included a hefty fee for pain and suffering, totaling around $5,000. As I typed it up, I felt a rush of empowerment. Once I had the bill printed on fancy stationery to make it look official, I mailed it to Tom's new apartment. I honestly didn't think he'd take it seriously. It was more of a cathartic act for me. After I sent it, I felt lighter, like I had finally taken control of my narrative instead of being a victim. But little did I know that this act of defiance would set off a chain reaction. A few days later, I received a text from Tom, and my heart raced when I saw his name pop up on my phone. He was furious, asking if I was seriously sending him a bill. I could hardly contain my laughter as I read his message. I replied with something like, "Why not? You made a choice to hurt me, and I think I deserve some compensation." His response was a mix of denial and anger, claiming that I was immature for even considering it. His outrage only fueled my sense of satisfaction. Tom then decided to share the bill with his friends, claiming I was crazy and that I needed to get over it. To my surprise, some of his friends reached out to me in support, saying they didn't agree with Tom's actions and applauded my boldness. They were genuinely impressed that I had taken a stand for myself, and it felt good to know that not everyone sided with him. This was a turning point for me. I realized that I wasn't alone in this, and I started to feel more empowered. However, not everyone was supportive. A few of my friends thought I was being childish and should have taken the high road instead. They expressed concern that my actions might escalate the situation further and encouraged me to just move on. I found myself torn. Part of me was proud of my boldness, but another part wondered if I had indeed crossed a line. But as I reflected on the situation, I realized that I needed to stand up for myself. I had been hurt deeply, and I refused to let Tom's actions go unchecked. As the situation unfolded, Tom's parents reached out to me, expressing their concern and asking me to drop the bill. They claimed I was ruining their son's life by holding him accountable. I was taken aback. Here were two people who had raised a son who cheated and hurt others, and they wanted me to let it slide. I politely told them that I was handling this my way and that they should encourage Tom to take responsibility for his choices. The conversation left me feeling even more empowered, though it was frustrating that they couldn't see their son's wrongdoing. The unexpected twist in this saga came when Tom's sister, who I had always gotten along with, contacted me to express her support. She admitted that she had seen Tom change over the past year and said he had been acting like a jerk. She apologized on his behalf and expressed her frustration with how he treated me. Hearing this from her meant a lot to me. It showed that not everyone in his family condoned his actions, and it gave me some reassurance that I wasn't imagining things. A few weeks after sending the bill, I found myself out with Lisa at our favorite bar, feeling lighter than I had in ages. As we were catching up and sharing stories, a cute guy approached us. His name was Ben to 9M, and he was charming, funny, and incredibly easy to talk to. We hit it off immediately, and it felt refreshing to connect with someone new. As our conversation flowed, I couldn't help but share my recent antics with Tom, including the bill I had sent. To my surprise, Ben thought it was hilarious. He assured me that I wasn't the *** hole in this situation and appreciated my boldness. His support made me feel even better about my choices and my ability to move on. We exchanged numbers, and I felt a spark I hadn't felt in a long time. The idea that I could meet someone who appreciated my strength was exhilarating, and it was a sign that life was moving forward in a positive direction. Over the next few weeks, Ben and I went out on several dates, and I found myself smiling more and more. He treated me with kindness and respect, something I desperately needed after my experience with Tom. As I got to know Ben better, I realized how important it was to surround myself with people who valued me. With every laugh and shared moment, I felt myself healing. I started to believe that I could move on from the pain Tom had caused me. Meanwhile, Tom had become increasingly frustrated with the situation. He reached out multiple times, trying to get me to drop the bill. I stood my ground, knowing that this was about more than just a financial sum. It was about self-respect and accountability. I even received a few texts from his friends, urging me to let it go and just be happy. But I was happy I was moving on, and I was embracing my new life. As I started to build a relationship with Ben, I found that he was incredibly understanding and supportive of my healing process. He didn't pressure me to share everything right away. Instead, he allowed me to open up at my own pace. Eventually, I shared my story about Tom and the emotional damage I had experienced. To my relief, Ben was genuinely empathetic and said he admired my strength in standing up for myself. Hearing his validation felt like a breath of fresh air. Just when I thought things were starting to settle down, I received an unexpected package in the mail. It was from Tom, and my heart raced as I opened it. Inside was a letter along with a check for the full amount of the bill I had sent him. I was stunned. The letter contained an apology, albeit a half-hearted one, where he expressed that he was sorry for the pain he caused, but also reiterated that he thought I was overreacting. It was confusing and left me feeling even more empowered and validated. He acknowledged my pain, even if he didn't fully grasp the extent of it. After everything that had happened, I realized that I had transformed through this experience. I had taken the painful situation and turned it into an opportunity for growth. I had stood up for myself and had begun to rebuild my life with Ben by my side. As I sat there with the check in hand, I decided to donate the money to a local women's shelter. It felt like the perfect way to channel my experience into something positive and give back to others who might be facing similar struggles. In the end, I reflected on my journey and realized that I had come a long way since that heart-wrenching confrontation with Tom. I was no longer that broken-hearted girl. I had found strength in vulnerability, and I had learned to prioritize my own happiness. The emotional damage I had experienced had shaped me, but it wouldn't define me. With each passing day, I felt myself getting stronger, more resilient, and more hopeful about the future. So, Reddit, am I the *** hole for sending my ex a bill for emotional damage? I'm eager to hear your thoughts and if you think I made the right decision.